I turned 60 last month, and I want to tell you one ugly truth I learned way too late, though thank God I caught it just in time. Your job isn't yours. I don't care how important you think you are. The desk, the badge, the title on the org chart, none of it is yours. You are a guest there. Even if people call you the backbone, even if they swear to your face, nothing moves in this company without you. I didn't learn that in a business book, and I didn't learn it when I retired. I learned it at 42 years old, lying flat on my back at home, running 103-degree fever, hands shaking, watching my phone buzz on the nightstand like a trapped insect, and realizing that noise, that buzzing, was the only thing I had left. I spent years in the banking world, and I don't mean finance in some vague, glossy movie sense. I mean banking. Deadlines, compliance, regulators, other people's money. It was the kind of work where one missed check, ox turns into 10 meetings and a conference call with someone whose tone is already disappointed before you even say hello. I was the guy who closed the day, closed the month, closed the quarter. I was the guy who held the processes together, the guy who knew where the one file lived. You know that file? The one nobody else can find? The one that makes the whole committee packet make sense? I was the only one who knew where it was, and if I'm being honest with you, I liked it. I liked the feeling that without me, there'd be panic. It sounds gross when I say it out loud now, but it's true. I hid my ego inside that word, responsibility. But I hid something else, too, convenience. Because when you're indispensable at work, people forgive things, and you can quietly skip a lot at home. That year, when I was 42, my marriage was hanging by a thread. My wife wasn't yelling anymore. She'd run out of yelling. She spoke in that calm, flat voice that hurt so much worse than shouting. I can still see the kitchen. It's vivid. Around 9 at night. I'm standing there in my dress shirt, tie already off, hand on the fridge door. She sets a plate down for me, and I'm eating with one hand while scrolling through emails with the other. She looks at me and says, "Are you here with me, or are you still at the bank?" And without even looking up from the screen, I go, 5 minutes. There's a limit issue. A limit issue. Like that was a real answer to give your wife. 5 minutes turned into an hour into 2. Then I'd stumble into bed and drop face first into the pillow like somebody hit an off switch. We had 2 kids. My daughter was 17 then. She had a boyfriend. Nice kid, actually. The kind who takes his shoes off at the door and looks your wife in the eye when he says hello. My son was 7. He was in that phase where he loved building Legos and asking the kind of questions you can't answer with just, uh-huh. He needed a real voice, a real presence, and here's the part that still makes my stomach turn. My son didn't reach for me, not first. He reached for that boyfriend. I'd come home late, and they'd already be on the floor in my son's room. The boyfriend holding the box of pieces, my son explaining how he reinforced the tower like it was a skyscraper. I'd hover in the doorway and do my little routine. "So what's up, gentlemen?" My son would nod without looking up, and I'd stand there like a visitor, like a tourist in my own house. One time, I saw that boyfriend teaching my son how to tie his shoes, patiently, loop like this, now pull. And I'm standing there, holding my phone, listening to my boss tell me why we have to handle this tonight, or tomorrow we're going to get destroyed. Watching a 17-year-old kid do the job I was supposed to do. Something pinched inside me right then. Something honest. But I did what I was best at. I postponed it. Later, I told myself. After the quarter. After the report. After this project. I lived on the word after. Vacation plans got made and then shoved aside. Suitcases sat in the closet. My wife had the eyes of someone who had stopped waiting. And then, nothing dramatic happened. Not a heart attack. Not a breakdown. Just a normal illness. A nasty virus that hit like a truck and wouldn't let go. The kind people shrug off in conversation. Oh, I had the flu. But when it's you and you're 42 and running on adrenaline, it's not a shrug. It's a wall. It started with, it's fine, I'll power through. Then a night with no sleep. Then chills so hard my teeth clicked. Then a cough that made my ribs hurt. The fever stayed. And even then, when it dipped for an hour, I'd try to at least check email. I was home for nearly a month. At first, I thought it'd be a week. Then it became 2. Then I realized my body was basically saying, you are not negotiating this one. The doctor said something simple to me. Are you going to rest, or are you going to keep pretending you're tough? And my wife, finally firm, said, the bank can wait. You can't. I was angry. Not at the sickness, but at the fact that I'd been pulled out of the machine. I felt like a bolt someone removed. I was scared. Everything's going to fall apart, I thought. The first few days, I tried to work from bed. Laptop open, security token for login sitting on the nightstand. The whole sad setup. I'd press the button, get the code, type it in, and a minute later forget why I opened anything. My fingers were shaky, my eyes watered, my brain was fog. I'd open a spreadsheet and get lost in my own rows, and then I finally gave up. The phone stayed face down, and for the first time in years, I just stared at the ceiling. On day 4, an email came in. I checked it. It was automated. No, how are you? No, get well soon. Just cold system language. Your request has been logged. Ticket number 18427. Owner assigned. I read it, and something in me went hollow. Because it wasn't about a ticket. It was about me. Not Michelle is out, let's give him time. Just owner assigned. The next day, another automated message. Access to folder updated. Changes effective immediately. And a couple of days later, a coworker texted, nice enough guy, even kind. He wrote, we covered your stuff. Don't worry. Just get better. I stared at that line. We covered your stuff. How? Turns out my manager handed my workload to a younger guy from a neighboring team. Jake. The kind of guy who always asked, want me to take more? The kind I used to look down on, thinking, kid, you don't know what you're volunteering for. Well, he took it. Sure, he made mistakes. Sure, he pinged people, asking where templates lived, asking which version of the doc was the real one. But the world didn't end. The approvals went through, the deadlines got met, the regulators didn't show up with pitchforks. The bank didn't collapse. Do you know what I felt? A stupid feeling. An ugly feeling. I felt offended, like I'd been betrayed. And then I felt relieved, like someone finally took a bag of bricks off my shoulders. And for the first time, I said it honestly. If some guy can replace me in a week, what am I doing to my life? Why am I killing myself like this? And I want to be clear. I'm not saying work is evil. I'm not saying quit and go live on a beach. Money matters. Responsibility matters. Doing your job well matters. I'm saying this. Don't give your job what it can't give back. Sleep, health, your marriage, your kids' childhood. Because a job will always take more. It is never full. People will sell you this story that real performers grind nonstop. Answer at midnight, live for the mission. Sometimes the loudest voices belong to people who will never feel what you feel when your body finally says no. And when you're lying there coughing so hard the room spins, nobody cares about your hero act. What matters is whether someone's sitting beside you. What matters is whether you still have a life to go back to. When I returned, weeks later, nobody threw me a parade. And that's normal. A couple of jokes. Look who's alive. A couple of questions. Hey, where'd you keep that file? The sharpest moment came accidentally. I'm by the coffee machine, and I hear 2 people talking, like it's nothing. Yeah, Jake handles that now. It's going fine. Yeah, he picked it up fast. It's going fine. 2 words. That's it. And I understood. My seat wasn't a throne. It was a chair. One person stands up, another sits down. That night, I came home early. Not by an hour, by 2. My wife looked at me like she didn't trust it. She asked, "Something happened?" And I felt ashamed, because coming home on time had become an emergency signal in our house. I sat next to her, looked her in the face, and said, "I don't want to live like this anymore." We didn't do some dramatic vow. I didn't quit the next day. I started with small, real changes. I started taking vacation, actually taking it. Not maybe if nothing's on fire. I put it on the calendar and protected it like a deadline. I stopped answering on weekends. At first, my hand reached for the phone like a reflex, like a bad habit. Sometimes I slipped. Sometimes I answered. I'm not a saint, but I started noticing. I started leaving earlier, at least a couple of nights a week. And those 2 nights changed everything, because I wasn't just present at home. My son and I built stuff together. Every Tuesday, Legos, anything, even the dumb sets. I'd sit on the floor, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel like I was wasting time. I felt like I was getting it back. My wife and I started walking. No errands, no agenda, just walking and talking, or not talking if that's what we needed. Sometimes she'd slip her arm through mine, and I'd think, I almost lost this. And then something happened that surprised me. My career went up, not because I worked less, but because I stopped clinging to one place like it was my identity. I realized staying loyal to a chair for 20 years doesn't make you safe. In banking, you're family until the numbers shift. The only thing that's truly loyal is the business. So I moved. One bank, then another. And after that, I changed roles every 2 or 3 years. Not out of greed, out of clarity. I stopped confusing loyalty with dependency. And the wild part? In interviews, I sounded different. Not like a desperate man begging to be kept. Like a professional choosing his next step. People feel that. But the real proof showed up at home, quietly, over years. My daughter is 35 now. That boyfriend from back then, he's her husband. And we joke about it sometimes, how life has a sense of humor. Back then, I watched him tie my son's shoes, and I felt replaced. Now, he'll text me a picture of their kid doing something ridiculous and write, "Look what your grandkid did." And I'm not a guest in that moment. I'm included. My daughter calls me for real conversations, not updates, not Happy Father's Day and a quick goodbye. She'll call while she's driving and say, "Dad, can I talk to you for a minute?" And it's not about money. It's not about fixing something. It's about her life, her fears, her plans. I know her voice now, the difference between I'm fine and I'm not fine. You don't learn that by showing up twice a month with a forced smile. And my son is 25. He doesn't look at me like a guy who lives behind a screen anymore. He'll send me something stupid from the gym and write, "You'd laugh at this," like I'm his person. He'll call and say, "Hey, I'm grabbing food. Come with me." Not because he needs a ride, because he wants the company. There's this small thing that still hits me. Sometimes he'll ask me something simple, how to fix a shelf, which tool to buy, how to handle a situation at work. And I'll realize he's not asking because I'm the smartest man alive. He's asking because I'm his dad, and he expects me to be there. That expectation is a gift. You don't get it back once it's gone. If I hadn't stopped at 42, I'd have 2 polite strangers who share my last name. Instead, I have an actual relationship. The kind where you get invited, where you get told the truth, where you're part of the day-to-day, not a holiday accessory. That's what life looks like when you stop trading it for work. Now I'm 60. I've still got a strong title, solid compensation, respect in the industry. I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying it because I want younger people to hear this without needing a fever to teach them. Because if I hadn't stopped at 42, I'm pretty sure I'd be divorced. I'd have polite, cold relationships with my kids. So let me ask you a few things. When was the last time you were out long enough to see the world keep spinning without you? Who are you trying to prove your indispensable story to? What have you postponed for 3 years because of this project? Who at home is paying the price for your job? And here's the hardest one. Are you sure your kids aren't looking for a dad somewhere else? I'm not going to hype you up. I'm going to give you 5 practical moves you can do this week. Things that actually change the shape of your life. 1. Run a small experiment. Pick one evening and go unavailable for 3 hours. No email, no Slack, no just checking. Then write down what broke. If something truly breaks in 3 hours, your workplace doesn't have a you problem. It has a system problem. 2. Make a Jake can cover it file. 1 page, 3 sections, what matters, where it lives, who to call. Not because you love the job, because you want the freedom to be sick without feeling like the building is on fire. 3. The next time you take PTO, don't ask like you're begging. Put it on the calendar, set your out of office, and tell one person, here's who has coverage. You're not asking permission to be a human. You're building a normal life. 4. Pick one boundary that has teeth, not I'll try. A real rule. No work apps after 8 p.m. or the phone stays in the kitchen after dinner. The first week will feel wrong. That's just withdrawal. 5. Pay one debt at home this week without announcing it. Show up, coach the homework, fix the shelf, take your wife out, sit on the floor and build something with your kid. Not a grand gesture, a repeatable one. That's what saves things. I still keep that automated email. Yeah, I know how that sounds. A cold system message, owner assigned, saved my life more than any inspirational quote ever did. I keep it in a folder with old paperwork and a faded photo of my kids. Sometimes I pull it out and read it, and it calms me down. Because it reminds me, the bank will outlive me, but my family might not survive my absence. If you want, leave a comment with one thing work has already taken from you. Just one, the honest one. And if you've got your own story that could wake someone up sooner, tell it. It might save somebody years. Take care of what can't be replaced.